Is Elon Musk chickening out of his proposed cage match with Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook? The Tesla CEO was asked on Twitter this week when this match will actually be happening. He replied, "Exact date is still in flux. I'm getting an MRI of my neck and upper back tomorrow. May require surgery before the fight can happen. We'll know this week." Later, when a user proposed a, quote, cage match debate instead of an actual cage match, Musk replied, "That sounds like a good idea, too. This is really fighting as, I believe, a noble sport. We also hope with humility to express our admiration for those who have fought before for noble causes."
A debate sounds like a more constructive fight than a physical fight if he's going to have back surgery.
Sure.
Maybe that's not a good thing you should be doing, Elon.
But the question is whether or not this is
maybe
more
concentrate on building rockets or colonizing Mars or something.
Or making Twitter profitable.
Continuing this. Well, don't even waste your time on that, please.
Well, of course, we covered this story before, and there was a kind of a reneging on the promise to fight that happened before. Many people in our comment section said, no, they're back on. You were so wrong to cover that as them trying to get out of this fight. I'm happy to eat my hat.
Who wants to fight Mark Zuckerberg? I don't want to fight Mark Zuckerberg. He trains. He does jujitsu. He doesn't feel pain. He's a robot.
Yeah, well...
Be afraid, Elon. Be more afraid than you are.
Elon, I mean, there was this effort to blame it on Elon's mother, who said that she didn't want him to fight before.
Mama knows best.
I think that she might. I don't think that anyone who has either of their best interests at heart really is wanting them to go mano a mano in the ring. But that's just the top line of our Elon Musk / Twitter news today.
Yes. On a more serious note, Linda Yaccarino, who was the person you'll recall that Elon Musk picked to actually run Twitter, now called X, be the CEO, was interviewed on CNBC about her thoughts on the rebranding and the platform in general. Let's watch.
It's all in one seamless interface. So think about what's happened since the acquisition, right? Experiences and evolution into long-form video and articles. Subscribe to your favorite creators who are now earning a real living on the platform, which is so exciting. You look at video, and you look at soon you'll be able to make video chat calls without having to give your phone number to anyone on the platform. And then payments. Payments, there's been a lot of talk about that. Payments between you and a friend, between you and one of your creators.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot going on, and the rebrand represented really a liberation from Twitter, a liberation that allowed us to evolve past a legacy mindset and a thinking, and to reimagine how everyone on Spaces who's listening, everybody who's watching around the world, it's going to change how we congregate, how we entertain, how we transact, all in one platform.
But Lynn,
I found that a little empty, rhetorically. In fact, was slightly reminded of Kamala Harris. What is she actually saying?
A lot of corporate speak. Yeah. I mean, I do want to pick up on these claims about this novel ability to make money on Twitter. I think that was one of the more exciting things about it for people who do spend a lot of time in the app, like ourselves. And like many of these apps feel like they are creating content for free for billionaire owners without having any ability to monetize it. YouTube is unique insofar as you can actually earn money for your clicks and views. Most of these other apps don't offer those same kinds of opportunities outside of getting deals with brands to promote them on their page outside of the app. So this was an exciting prospect. They just rolled out the first few payments recently, and there were some big winners. The Krasenstein brothers,
who are real well.
Big liberal political advocates on Twitter, seem to be benefiting from this the most.
And they do have massive engagement, to be fair.
They earned, Ed Krasenstein earned $15,300 rather. His brother earned $12,632. To qualify, you just need to have Twitter Blue. You have to have at least 15 million organic impressions. Impressions are not the same thing as clicks or anything like substantive, so it seems like a big number, but it's something that many people, if you have 100,000 plus followers, can get, and you have to have at least 500 followers. But this has been raising some interesting questions because some people seem to believe that despite having all of those qualities in droves and well exceeding 15 million, are not getting the same kinds of payout, these kind of $10,000 plus a month payouts that the Krasensteins got. Jackson Hinkle was complaining on Twitter recently that he had 225 million impressions last month and only received $1,693 in ad revenue. So, you know, are we going to get more transparency? Is this actually something that's being, you know, managed that in a way that is connected to people's actual engagement on the app? Is this what some people have alleged, like Jackson Hinkle, that there's some kind of favoritism scheme happening here? And as the Krasensteins themselves brought up, is this going to lead content creators, people on Twitter, to intentionally generate engagement by saying volatile, controversial, potentially offensive things because they can now profit from engagement, whether it's positive or negative?
I mean, people were saying provocative things before anyway because they like the engagement. So I don't know that that's going to change things very much. It's not like it was a calm site before. It's just speech. It's fine if people do that. I think it's great that Elon has made this an option to, you know, monetize your tweets. Obviously, we're on a platform, YouTube, that allows for monetization. That's how our show is able to work. So I think it's a good. If they want to have X be the everything app, then that's totally in line with that vision. Obviously, I agree that it should be transparent, and if he says it's just literally based on however many impressions you have or whatever it is, then it should be payments based on that rather than some other criteria.
You know that hasn't been the case with YouTube, that we've talked at length about the ways that certain content creators are throttled unfairly. This show was throttled unfairly on YouTube. We've talked about the way, you know, people in their Twitter videos will avoid saying certain words that they think will get them censored. SEX, DRUGS, like certain words, certain topics that you can talk about in a way that's informative, medical, important, of social value, gets minimized in the feeds, and people have to work around those sorts of things, the way that people who talked about COVID felt like they were censored on some of these apps. And that could very easily be an issue if there's not transparency.
These are different kinds of, sometimes they do that because advertisers don't like it.
Sure.
And that's the main way the sites make money.
Sometimes they do that because the Biden administration reaches out and asks them.
Well, and speaking of, you want a story that's real censorship. So Elon Musk, this is also something we wanted to discuss here. So Twitter was subpoenaed by the Justice Department for Trump tweet info, and they refused to comply and got a $350,000 fine. But I'm reading more closely, and part of the so what the Justice Department sought was, I guess we don't know exactly because obviously the tweets are public, but there could be information that Twitter has about under what circumstances they were sent, maybe like what location they were sent from, some other maybe statistics about their reach, those kinds of things. But they also, in the search warrant, where is it? It was there was going to be a non-disclosure forced on them. So Twitter was also going, Elon Musk was going to be prohibited from saying that the Justice Department, from publicly saying that the Justice Department had pursued this information. And Twitter said, we are willing to produce the information, but we do not, this violates our First Amendment rights to say we can't say that we're doing this.
I thought they didn't. Did they actually produce the information? I thought that they had
So they said they will not produce the information as long as that stipulation, they said if you took away that stipulation, we will produce the information.
Well, they've already violated that stipulation by talking about the government requesting the documents. Am I misunderstanding what the stipulation was?
So this is now public because they've been fined for not complying with it. But this was months ago when this demand was made. So they exceeded the deadline to hand over the information because the Justice Department didn't agree to drop that stipulation. So it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, whatever you think of the nature of the case, it does seem like, obviously, in criminal cases, cell phone records are frequently subpoenaed. Email records, all of these other kinds of things are frequently subpoenaed if there's cause, and so it doesn't seem like there was a objection to the relevance of the information and the subpoena itself. It does seem like the objection here was
Right.
to not disclosing it. And, you know, a $350,000 fine to the richest man in the world is absolutely nothing. And it'll be interesting to see what the Justice Department does here as it pursues what apparently a court has decided is relevant and discoverable and
I'm reading from
subpoenable
Fortune
information.
magazine. It's unclear what information exactly they wanted to
Right.
get, but possibilities include data about when and where the posts were written, their engagement, and the identities of other accounts that reposted Trump's content. Obviously, this is almost similar to the story we talked about, court order for a warrant to search the Facebook user's account who had that illegal abortion and had disposed of the remains in really graphic ways, and a criminal proceeding was being sought, and Facebook was subpoenaed for searches she might have done on Facebook or DMs or something.
Well, no,
of that nature.
it was the content of her DMs.
Right.
And so Facebook is moving to doing basically direct messaging such that it never is in possession of the content of DMs, so it's not being put in the
Right.
position of having to disclose that information. That's how you get around it. But you would still have to give over whatever location data or whatever was available that you can't kind of like technology your way around. So it is an interesting dynamic. And a value neutral way, it is an interesting dynamic where if you are accused of a robbery or some kind of normal petty crime, they are going to use your cell phone data to connect you to a crime. Cell phone data, which is known to be notoriously misleading, given how many cell phone towers there are and how dense urban centers are. Okay, I was in the vicinity, the whole of New York to Westchester is only 13 miles. So those kinds of things often are criticized by defense attorneys for how they're overly read into in trials. But if you're a poor petty criminal, no one's paying $350,000 to resist, for AT&T to resist giving over your cell phone records. But as seems to be the case frequently in our American justice system, the rich and the powerful can protect each other and their institutions to prevent disclosure of documents that could potentially be incriminating. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
I suppose it will. More Rising right after this.